John Alder for DIYPhotography.net. We're still wandering around IBC 2022, and I'm here with James from Mo-Sys, and we're going to talk about virtual production.
DIY Photography's coverage of IBC 2022 is sponsored by Sennheiser, the future of audio; Sachtler, producer of professional tripods; and B&H, the professional source.
So James, tell us about virtual production. What is it?
So virtual production is about using real-time computer graphics in your production. So it's kind of been maybe taken over a little bit by this whole idea of LED walls, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But actually virtual production goes back lots and lots of years to using green screen technology in broadcast and in film to give a real-time view of a virtual world. It can also be the other way around. So in this case, behind me here, we've got a green screen and we're putting real people into virtual spaces. But we can also do the opposite, which is kind of like AR. We can put virtual objects into real spaces. Yeah. Now, in all of these types of virtual production, you need to very accurately know where the camera is. The real camera, I mean.
Yes.
Now this is important because we need to render the scene, the CG scene, from exactly that same perspective in order to combine the two together and make it look like they're really stood there. So in that case, what we do is we track the camera using a tracking system. Our tracking system is called Star Tracker, and it's on all of our camera systems here. The way it works is we look up at the studio ceiling where we have these small markers, these reflective stickers. We have a little mini camera on top of the main camera that then can position very accurately, super accurately, like 1 millimeter and 1/10 of a degree, exactly where the camera is. We also map the lens, so we know exactly where the lens is and how wide the lens is, and then we can recreate that in the virtual world. So we can have a virtual version of the real camera that's really, really close to the real camera.
Brilliant, brilliant. So is that where the name Star Tracker comes from? Because all the dots look like a field of stars up above.
Exactly, and we call it a constellation, in fact.
Right.
Yeah. So the dots shine. They actually shine as well because our little sensor on the Star Tracker emits infrared light that gets reflected back into the sensor directly. It's a bit like cat's eyes in the road or emergency vehicles. It reflects back, and we actually see just purely the stars. We don't see any of the studio lights or anything like that. We just see those infrared reflective stickers. Yeah.
Brilliant. So it's a bit like 3D planar tracking in Blender or something, but in real time.
Exactly. If you've ever used any of those post-production tools to figure out where the camera is, match moving the camera, then we're doing that, but all in real time with our Star Tracker system.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about some of the gear.
So Mo-Sys do sort of three things really. We do robotics, camera tracking, and we also do virtual production software and solutions. So what you're seeing here is our Mo-Rail system, which is a new robot that we're showing at IBC.
Tell us a bit more about this.
Sure. Well, so this is designed for newsroom applications. It's got a PTZ camera on it right now, or PTZ camera, which is pan, tilt, and zoom, and allows you to move around remotely, remote control the camera. But of course we can move it now and get these lovely tracking shots. It's got a 4-meter radius, so if you put it 4 meters away, you don't even need to pan. It will just keep the presenter right in the center of the frame. All the cables are tidied away. You can basically raise and lower it as well, and as you can see, it can create these lovely automated camera moves.
Oh, brilliant. So you don't make the actual camera that's on top, because this one's a Canon. I was going to say, are there specific cameras that it's compatible with, or can you put pretty much any pan tilt zoom on it?
You can put any PTZ camera on it, Panasonic, Canon, whatever, and it can also take ENG cameras. It can take a payload up to like 15 kilos.
Oh, wow.
So you could put like big, chunky TV
big,
cameras
chunky
on it.
broadcast cameras.
Yeah.
I don't miss those. All right, well, brilliant. So James, tell me about this monster.
Yeah, so this is the head on the end here. We call it the G30. It's a gyro-stabilized robotic head. So it's for taking a large cinema camera, like we've got the Sony Venice on here. You can see it also has our Star Tracker system for additional tracking. And the great thing about this, not only is it gyro-stabilized, but it's also got 3 different axes of rotation. So I can pan like this, and I can tilt like this, but also, and this is the coolest bit, I can roll like this.
Oh, wow.
So that allows you to get these really interesting shots. Now this, I mean, here we have it on one of our E-cranes, but actually, you can hang this off the back of a truck. It's gyro stabilized, so you get those lovely smooth shots with this robot. We also manufacture we also manufacture these ourselves. These are our own bespoke control interfaces. I don't know if you want to try them. They feel really lovely.
Oh, that is really smooth.
It's cool, isn't it?
So, and these are just like standard controls like people would be used to with like Panavision cameras and that kind of
That's
thing?
That's right, yeah. It's and in fact, this type of control goes way back to film where they would actually have a wire control, wire to the end and be controlling the head on the end of a crane. But of course, now we do it with robotics instead. Yeah.
So, what's the kind of price on a setup like this? I mean, it's going to be out the budget of a lot of people, but for like production companies that want this kind of thing, what sort of money are they talking for something like this?
I mean, I think the model is really a higher model, so productions would hire these for specific use cases. I'll have to step off to get a price, and we'll pick that up afterwards if that's right, because I just simply don't know it.
That's fine.
But yeah, the model is probably more likely a hiring model, so we, higher facilities will be able to supply this to productions for particular cases.
Brilliant. Right, well, let's go and take a look at the camera system and the tracking.
Great.
So, James, I see you have a couple of boxes in your hand this time.
Yeah, so
tell me about these.
Well, so on the camera, we've just been looking at we have the current generation of the Star Tracker. These are the new ones, the new kids on the block. This is we call this the Star Tracker Max. It's coming very soon, end of this month. We're taking orders at IBC, and it's a tracking system that is much more. It's 8 times the resolution of this one.
Oh wow!
It's a lot lighter and smaller. It's got lots more options for how you mount it to the camera, but it's the same principle. It still has this camera that looks up and sees the markers, and then uses that to very accurately position the camera. And then we have what we call the Star Tracker Mini, and this is its baby brother. This is very exciting. It's shipping early next year, and it's all in one box. It's designed for smaller studio spaces. It's got a kind of
so like independent creators with a permanent space.
Exactly. This is a sort of a gateway drug, if you like, for virtual production. So yeah, we're really hoping that this is going to be interesting for people who want to dabble in virtual production, want to start to get into using the Unreal Engine to do virtual production.
Right. So you say this one, you're taking pre-orders for this one now?
That's right. Yeah. So you can, and
that one's coming next year.
It's coming early next year.
Next year.
We're hoping for January.
Is there a word on a price for this one yet?
So the Star Tracker Mini is going to be priced at a point that makes it really accessible for people that are just starting out in virtual production.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. So I see we have a great big LED wall behind us. Can you tell us about that and how it ties into the whole system?
Absolutely. So in green screen virtual production, we need to create a virtual environment from the position of the camera. In an LED environment, we need to do the same thing. We actually have this very similar technology stack, but now on the LED wall, we need to create the correct perspective so that it feels like we're in a 3D environment. So when we move this camera up and down, for example, it changes the perspective in the background so that it feels like we're in a deep, large space. The parallax, exactly, yeah. So for that, of course, this is what I mean about the technology stack's very similar to green screen. We need camera tracking in order to very accurately position the camera. We need rendering. We have our BMR system that we're showing here, broadcast mixed reality system, which is doing that rendering. We're leveraging the Unreal Engine and N-Display to get it up onto the wall. And N-Display and Unreal are, of course, free to use. So this is another really great thing for democratizing and making more available virtual production to a wider range of budgets.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of content about Unreal on YouTube lately, and people are really getting into the whole virtual production.
And I would strongly recommend anyone who's interested in trying it, download it, it's free, get stuck in, there's loads of really good tutorials, and you can plug your cameras into that. You can even start doing basic tracking with consumer tracking systems, and then when you want to kind of really tie it all together, you get a professional tracking system.
That's when they come see you.
Yeah, that's right. and then you can really join up the real world and the virtual world and create these kind of amazing CG environments.
Brilliant. Well, that's amazing. Thank you very much, James.
Thanks.
Well, I'm John Aldred for DIYPhotography.net. We're going to keep looking around, see what else we can find. If you want to keep up to date on the rest of the videos, hit subscribe. And if you want to win over $12,000 worth of cinema gear, check the link in the description below.